Good evening, morning, greetings to wherever you are. This is again Ayya Phalanyani speaking, but it seems that nobody's watching because I messed things up and had no talk for today scheduled. So I'm going to talk anyways and try to record something. It seems I have to, yeah. I am asking you, if somebody's here, I'm asking you for a little bit of patience. So to see whether I can well, it doesn't seem as if I have the opportunity to get to Facebook and publish it there. So greetings, Jayanta. And I think I did something wrong here. And the talk for today was not scheduled correctly. And also I did not correctly put it on Facebook. So there's no Facebook transmission of this talk. And I think most people were watching from Facebook. But anyway, so good morning to who is here, and greetings to you. A lot of peace I wish to you wherever you are. So yesterday was March 8th, and that was the International Women's Day. And I had no opportunity really to prepare for today, because yesterday we had an event, online event, and we're in retreat still. So there was this online event that was for the Outstanding Women in Buddhism award. That is an award that I received myself a few years back. And so now it is done on only digital, only in internet. So I could join from Germany, watching it in Thailand. So because it was Women's Day, I thought that I would talk about some of the great teachings of the women. And there are some great teachers, but then I thought, no, maybe Ayya Soma from Buddhist Insight is talking about the Therigatha and so on. And I looked and searched, what else can I present to you? So I remembered a small sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya, which I like very much. and where a woman is saying the right thing. Let's put it that way. And yeah, I just want to read this little sutta out to you, and then we talk about it. It's in the Mahavagga of the Samyutta Nikaya, and there it is, number 19, and is called the Sedaka Sutta. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Sumbhas, where there was a town of the Sumbhas named Sedaka. There the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus thus: Bhikkhus, once in the past an acrobat set up his bamboo pole and addressed his apprentice Meda Katalika thus: Come, dear Meda Katalika, climb the bamboo pole and stand on my shoulders. Having replied, Yes, teacher, the apprentice Meda Katalika climbed up the bamboo pole and stood on the teacher's shoulders. The acrobat then said to the apprentice Meda Katalika, You should protect me, Meda Katalika, and I'll protect you. Thus, guarded by one another, protected by one another, we will display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole. When this was said, the apprentice Meda Katalika replied, That is not the way to do it, teacher. You protect yourself, teacher, and I'll protect myself. Thus, each self-guarded and self-protected, we will display our skills, collect our fee, and get down safely from the bamboo pole. That's the method there, the Blessed One said. It's just as the apprentice Meda Katalika said to her teacher, I will protect myself, because thus should the establishments of mindfulness be practiced. I will protect others, because thus should be the establishments of mindfulness practiced. Protecting oneself, because one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. And how is it, bhikkhus, that by protecting oneself, one protects others? By the pursuit, development, and cultivation of the four establishments of mindfulness, it is in such a way that by protecting oneself, one protects others. And how is it, bhikkhus, that by protecting others, one protects oneself? By practice, harmlessness, loving kindness, and sympathy. In such a way that is it that by protecting others, one protects oneself. I will protect myself, bhikkhus, thus should the establishment of mindfulness be practiced. I will protect others, bhikkhus, thus the establishment of mindfulness should be practiced. Protecting oneself, bhikkhus, one protects others. Protecting others, one protects oneself. So this, yes, As Ego says, it is one of also my favorite suttas. And I have to repeat, I'm really, really sorry that I messed it up again. I didn't manage to connect Facebook today, and I don't know what was going on, what I did wrong, but something I did. So sorry, I will no longer be able to join live. My new employer wants us to work in person. Okay, Cheetah. So this Sedaka Sutta, I repeat, it is the Samyutta Nikaya number 19 Sedaka Sutta because it is in the town of Sedaka. And this apprentice Meda Katalika is a little girl. So this is my connection to the International Women's Day of yesterday. So there is something that a wise apprentice, a wise young girl, I suppose, had to say. And she stood up to her teacher and said, "No, teacher, it's not as you say." And she had a very, very good idea. And I think in this situation in which we find ourselves, we need to have a way to protect us. And therefore, I also think this is important to understand that it's not that I'm going around trying to protect others, trying to save the world. There is one place and none, and one time, and that is here. If I want to protect myself, that place is here where I am, and the time is now. So this is a very important message. And I think many of us, when we want to send out metta and we want to practice this and we want to practice whatever, we're sometimes getting lost in ideas that we have in ideas of what we can do, where we can become active, where the time and place to do something to protect ourselves and others from evil, where we really can hook in and do it. I think we were talking about that in a similar way in one of the former talks, but there is no saying it too often. This is very important to understand that really the time is now, and the place for protection is within each of us. And the Buddha says here, and how is it, Bhikkhu? No, before. That is the method. It's just as the apprentice Meda Katalika said to the teacher, "I will protect myself, bhikkhus." Thus should the establishments of mindfulness be practiced. I will protect others. Thus should the establishments of mindfulness be practiced, protecting oneself because one protects others, protecting others, one protects oneself. So we jump in not by going out, searching somewhere outside to protect, but we start to protect ourselves with the mindfulness. That is, we are guarding our sense doors. We are closing our sense doors. That doesn't mean that we need to live ignoring everything. Things are happening around us, and that will not stop as long as we are in samsara. That is like that. There is no way, there is no escape from that. But our reaction to it and our protection from it, that is where we can do something. And the protection really starts very, very simple. When you sit on your meditation cushion and have your eyes closed, and you sit there and you breathe and are with the breath, and the breath is going out, then already you started protecting yourself from doing unwholesome things because you sit there. Then also you are protecting yourself from unwholesome speech because you have your mouth shut. You don't talk when you sit on your meditation cushion. So already that is a protection. And then there's the mind, of course, that is still doing unwholesomeness, possibly having unwholesome thoughts, wanting this, wanting that, going here, going there, rejecting, disliking, doubting, and all these things that are happening within our mind when we sit on the meditation cushion or when we listen to the Dhamma. So this is where we can start. We can start being mindful of the way we think, of what we think. We can be mindful that not too many hindrances arise. And when they arise, we can be mindful that we let go of these unwholesome thoughts. As soon as we acknowledge that there was an unwholesome thought, it's not that we need to not think. Some people think that meditation would be not to think. That's not true, not necessarily. If you get there one day by practicing a lot, yes, wonderful, great. But this is not necessarily so from the beginning on. And just don't be bothered. Let it think. By observing your thinking, you learn so much about yourself. And you will be astonished. Really, really astonished. What if you are sitting there trying to be mindful, trying to do something wholesome, what amount of unwholesome thoughts is arising. And I'm not talking about really very heavily unwholesome thoughts, but all these little things that arise in our minds when it is itching there. You know, when I meditate, I don't know why, it's always itching in my face at some point during the meditation. So, and when that starts with the itching, it's, I think, nerve ends that are just relaxing or whatever. So and so they are tingling. So in the beginning, I had that urge to scratch, not understanding that underlying to that urge to scratch, there is that deeper version of it itching. If there were not an aversion for the itch, then there would not be the necessity to scratch. But I would just continue observing itching, itching, itching. And then it would go away because I would be peaceful about it. So, yeah, this is something very, very a minor disturbance, but it can obsess your mind sometimes, these little things. They can really become a major disturbance for your practice when you sit there, because there is nothing more unwholesome left but your thoughts. So observe them. See what is going on. See how you react to the things that are coming in. See and understand how your mind is reacting habitually, usually reacting to a thought, to a feeling of pain, or to the disturbance from outside, or to whatever appears. So sometimes we have people who want to have it absolutely silent. I do love silence, certainly, but there is no reason to say that you must have silence to be able to meditate. It helps, of course, but if there is no silence, but rather, as in most monasteries in Asia, for example, a lot of noise, then you still have to do your meditation and have to find peace. So then you might be astonished what thoughts arise when these disturbances occur. So be mindful and protect then yourself. Be mindful on the things that arise and that are ceasing. Every moment, every single moment, something is arising and something is ceasing. After it had been there for a brief moment, and we can observe that. We can see that. This is one way how we protect ourselves. But now we have other we have not only the thinking. Sometimes when we sit there in meditation, also feelings of the past, for example. When they arise, you react to them. That also can be a cause for being disturbed. Like, and imagine that you are a bamboo acrobat. Maybe you have one pole that you are holding in your hand, and you balance on the shoulders of your companion, and that one is maybe also balancing on a bamboo pole or whatever. I don't know what bamboo acrobacy they did then, but imagine they are balancing on a bamboo pole, she above with a bamboo pole in her hands, on his shoulders. How mindful you must be, to because this is a very, very fragile system. Everything is moving. When I was at a theater school, when I was young, we tried to I don't know how that is called, to walk on the string. And that is so, yeah, you have to be very, extremely mindful to have that balance. So, and you really need to focus. You really need to find your center. And the second you lose your center, everything tumbles and falls. And so this, I think, is a brilliant, brilliant example. What we need to do, being mindful, but highly, highly concentrated mindful. Not just mindful, but really so much so that my companion and me, we will both fall and break our bones when we are not mindful. And thus, we as practitioners should establish, says the Buddha, thus should the establishment of mindfulness be practiced, like acrobats, very meticulously, and of course, protecting oneself. And when I take care that I do my job well, then the others is protected from harm. And when the other protects him or herself from harm, then I am protected, or both, of course, are protected. So this is the way how we protect ourselves and others at the same time. So if I protect myself and we meet and I'm having a grudge, say, but I have learned to protect my establishments of mindfulness, when I have learned to protect my sense doors, then I'm maybe not giving it to you, scolding you, blaming you, but I am keeping my grudge with me and breathe and focus and go back to my center and learn not to go out of the middle way, because that very small path that we can walk on, tightrope walking, right? Yes, thank you. Now I read it. Tightrope walking, right? Um, that this tightrope that we walk on, that is our middle path. And every leaning to one extreme or the other, or giving in to desire or to aversion, or wanting this, wanting that, can make us fall, away and give us unsafety. So, yes, we are protecting ourselves. And how is it, bhikkhus, that by protecting oneself, one protects others? And that is really just by doing that. So, when I protect my senses in case of having a grudge and living my anger out, I'm protecting the other that could otherwise be the subject of my anger. Or if I am greedy and want something that another person owes and has, protecting myself by my rules or by the 5 precepts, knowing that I will not take anything that is not given. I'm protecting myself. And thus, I'm protecting the other from being harmed, from the person. I'm protecting that person that has the thing that I would like to have, because I'm protecting myself from stealing it. And the Buddha here in this sutta gives more examples of how we protect others by protecting ourselves. And that is by patience, by harmlessness, by loving kindness and sympathy. By harmlessness. This is so, I don't know what to say, but this is so beautiful. Just to understand that when we live harmless, we're protecting others. And this makes total sense. When you think of Angulimala protecting others, Angulimala protected maybe many beings. Coming to that. But if we think of Angulimala, who protected by not wanting to kill anymore, giving up throwing away the weapons, he protected, in a sense, the Buddha and didn't kill him as he intended in the first place. So harmless was then when he gave up killing Angulimala's name. So by being harmless in this world, we guarantee freedom and peace to other beings. And that is a huge protection of others by protecting myself. Patience, of course, is patience also a major protection for myself and for others. Impatience can be so harmful. To meditation practice, or an impatient boss, or an impatient colleague, they can really, really be harmful. So what we do is we're protecting ourselves by being patient when we have to deal with the impatience of others. Here the Buddha is not speaking of the four Brahma Viharas, although loving kindness and sympathy, so metta and mudita, are mentioned, but it's not the same. Patience is not the same as upekkha. Patience is something for the real life, when you're very, very close at other people. Also, of course, upekkha is very useful then, but I don't remember the sutta, and I didn't find it, but there is one sutta where Saka, and it's about the wars of the devas, and where Saka says that patience comes before loving kindness. So we need to develop patience first, and then we can develop loving kindness. And there are several mentions of this in the suttas. But unfortunately, I can't bring them to you now, the sutta names. So I'm not going too deep into that now. But patience is really like the first aid kit. Because sometimes if somebody is really, really disturbing you, bothering you, and you are about to get angry, harmlessness might be in danger. Metta might not be in sight yet at all. Then it is good to have some patience and to breathe, and to breathe in and to breathe out, and to be able to just leave it at that. And when you have that moment, and when you have the capacity to take some breath and come to more patience, then you can remember, I decided for harmlessness. I'm a harmless person. I'm not going to harm anyone. And then you can practice metta. When you are When you are more developed, this can go really quick from patience, one breath in, one breath out. You have patience established. You know you're harmless. That's a determination by default. And then loving kindness just flows out. But I don't think that each and every one of us has that established like that already. So this patience is really your first aid kit. This patience is the moment that you take for yourself before you react to any major disturbance or smaller disturbance, like or hindrance, like wanting something or rejecting something, getting angry, whatsoever. Breathing in and breathing out. And maybe again, hearing that person still is yelling, but you breathe and you remember by breathing, my mind is set on harmlessness. And then metta chitina has no obstruction anymore, and metta can shine through. So Sud had a question here. Dear Ayya, the sutta also mentions establishing mindfulness. How is this related to loving kindness, also mentioned in the sutta? So, yes, both mentioned here. Well observed. Metta chitina, a heart full of loving kindness, as we have discussed maybe last week, or I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, when we spoke about what the Buddha is recommending. I'm having the Majjhima Nikaya here, and I can just repeat it briefly. Majjhima Nikaya 21. Here, our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness without inner hate. We shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued of loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. So to be able to do it like this, or to protect us, ourselves, by loving kindness, we need to have a tremendous amount of mindfulness. Otherwise, somebody comes, says something to you, and you're reactive. And someone comes and says, you asshole, you idiot, you whatever, and you get angry. So when gone is metta chitina and all your holy ideas you had the 5 minutes before, or the second before even. But that changes quickly when the mindfulness is not well established. So if you have in such a moment when somebody comes and blames you or wants to harm you, and somebody comes and your mindfulness is not established, how will you remember loving kindness then, when you are used to be reactive? Metta-citta, the loving kindness, a heart full of loving kindness, will not arise when it is not well established. It establishes by practicing it. It establishes by being mindful and concentrated and fully alert. Here is something happening that can endanger myself or another person. If the 4 foundations of mindfulness are not practiced and not established, you will have a feeling of hurt. You will have a physical reaction of tension. You will have the evil wish of reacting back, and your mind will set not to metta-citta, but akusala or ahimsa citta. So you will lose all wholesomeness in a very brief moment of one very brief moment of not being mindful. So this is how loving kindness is always connected with, or any wholesome state of mind that we have not well established is connected to to the 4 foundations of mindfulness. I think this is the clearest I can put it. And I mean, there are certain things that we aim for when we remember Samavayamo, which is one of the path factors that goes with Samasati and Samasamadhi. So with the right awareness or right mindfulness, however you translate, and the right focus, or yeah, the right concentration. I think focus is a very good translation for the word samadhi. And together with these 2, we have samavayamo, the right effort, the right striving. And this is 4-fold. The right striving is 4-fold. You have first the part where you are getting rid of unwholesome and evil mind states. Once they are gone, you try not to let them arise again. And when you establish that there is, say, 5 minutes for a beginner, or longer for a more practiced person. When you establish that there is no unwholesome thought for a time, then you can start to let wholesomeness flow in, and then you can cultivate this wholesomeness. So this is samavayamo. This is a very, very important part of our practice. And this is only possible with a good established mindfulness and a good established concentration or focus on what you are doing. So I think that is. So yeah, these things are all connected, all interwoven. There is not one practice that would be the practice of loving kindness, and there is another practice that would be to develop the Brahma Viharas, or only to develop Metta Chitina, a heart full of loving kindness. When you practice mindfulness on the body, and you understand for 1 second that other beings wish to live in the same way that you wish to live, then you start to implement more attention to the little critters and beings that are around you. Just loving kindness is arising just by being aware what is going on within yourself and around yourself. Of course, it's beautiful and helpful to develop a heart of loving kindness and a heart full of compassion and empathetic joy and all these things. If you don't have them, if you don't have a good access to them, it's good to practice them individually. But to practice them individually also bears the danger that the moment you don't practice them, you forget them, because you never practiced sati. You never practiced awareness. So in the moment when you need it, when somebody is insulting you, for example, or trying to harm you, you forget it. Yeah, so there are all, in the end, coming together and making you that person that is harmless, that has a heart full of loving kindness, and that has compassion. And until then, we have to practice. Only with practice we will get there. Also, maybe, no, I didn't. I don't have it present now, but there are so many suttas also in the Samyutta Nikaya where the Buddha is talking about to establish. Now I'm not exactly sure how it's said in English, but you establish your routines, you're digging a trench from top of the hill downhill. You're digging a trench, and the water always runs down that same trench when you pour it out on top of the hill. So the trench are your habits. And when you establish bad habits, you need to dig another drench, but this is very, very difficult. So mindfulness, samasati, and sama samadhi are the tools that help you to become aware. Oh, I dug this drench in this direction, but I should have dug it in that direction. So I need to close this one, this drench, and open another one. Because only that new one is wholesome. Yeah. And if you have not established it, so if your mindfulness, or if your chitina, if your heart always goes to anger as a reaction, you have dug yourself a drench in that anger direction. Everything that comes flows into that same in that same drench towards anger. So your drench is, so to say, the mind state that you have established within yourself. So, and you need to do a tremendous work of Chittanupassana, of mindfulness of the heart mind, to, for example, dig your drench into the direction of loving kindness. That whatever comes, as it is said in Majjhima Nikaya, number 21, that I can react in such a wholesome way, as it is stated there in that sutta. There are a lot of resources. Yep. Thank you for your teachings. There are there resources to learn how to practice samadhi, how to focus in your meditation. Well, yes. One resource would be our monastery. Just come. Ananja Vihara in Germany, you find the website, or also go to any other monastery where the 4 establishments of mindfulness are practiced. My practice is Vipassana practice, and my teacher was Ajahn Tong, and he developed a method that has a very, very strong awareness part, but which also has a strong concentration part. So you practice both as it should be. You practice it together. You don't separate them. And I think this is very important, that samadhi and sati are never divided, but always practiced together, so that then they can I'm not oh, I'm forgetting English words now. Whereas yesterday I had to speak in German and I couldn't remember any German words. So they are giving wings to each other. You know, they support each other. I had some of the talks already. Maybe you can check on the on the Buddhist Insight channel for some of the earlier talks of mine where I was speaking about the practice that we do here. We tried, and we will do so again. We tried some meditation in the way my teacher has been teaching it. So I think for today, we're done. And I hope to see you all well and in peace next week. And I also excuse myself for messing it up again this week so that those friends on Facebook couldn't join in. Okay. Oh, that is so lovely. Love you so much. May I humbly submit rain plus digit. Yes, you may submit that humbly. Wonderful. See. Oh yeah, for sure. If you want to have Sud is asking for the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. Oh yes, certainly. I love to do that. Because we do that next week, all right? So can do. Wonderful. Have a good week then. Bye bye.